Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of the Obscure Arc. Today, I am Jared. I'm here with Emre, and we're here to talk about lovely sports anime, an anime written and created by one of the most legendary mangakas of all time, and probably one of, if not the most influential anime of all time. Despite us saying we talk about obscure stuff, we just wanted to watch it. Uh, I'm Jared, and here's my co-host Emre. How you doing?
Good. How about yourself?
I've watched a lot of fucking anime, dude.
Yeah.
I think getting into this, we didn't realize. Well, I think we knew, but like, there is a lot of anime to watch. Not only with like per month with what we watch with each other,
Yeah.
but with seasonals, dude. Like this season is, we'll talk about it. It's fucking packed.
It is. And you watch more seasonal stuff than I do. So I read more, but you watch. And I feel like reading and watching has a better balance in terms
For
of
sure, yeah.
tiring you out. Like,
Oh my god! Like going from this whole month, I've been going from like I watch and finish one show and then go to the next show, like literally within like a span of like 2 minutes of each other, and I just have to like remember everything. It's been wild. But this month we're going with a show that we'll start with my force watch as per usual. We're gonna go with a show that I know pretty well. I've rewatched it a couple of times, and so I didn't have to really fully run through it again. Making a pun on accident. But it is a lovely sports anime, something that we both love. It is Run with the Wind. And God, I love sports anime so much, and Run with the Wind I think is a different take on it, but it's something really cool. It's something that I hold really personally to myself, and we'll get into it. But for those of you who don't know, Run with the Wind, it really holds back where other sports anime choose to dive forward. I think a lot of what the show is about is focusing on the experience of the journey. Not that other sports anime don't, but it really is about highlighting the moments along that journey rather than just the importance of the destination. It's a show that that always puts its characters first, even if it means not delving into the deeper, agonizing nature of running. It's produced by Company IG in 2018, and it's actually based on a novel, which
didn't know that.
it's weird. It's based on a novel from 2006. There's actually there's a live action movie version of it. I think in like 2008 or something. It's written by Shion Miura, who also wrote The Great Passage, which is also an anime. The Great Passage is about like I think it's about the dictionary or something like that.
Okay.
It's weird. They choose really interesting stuff, but
Here's the thing, though. Since you mentioned like it's based off of a novel, Run with the Wind, like I'm not gonna go into the whole topic, but like sound kind of carries it. So imagining that in a novel where there's no sound is...
I think it's heavily, from what I've seen, I haven't read the novel, but from what I've seen, it's heavily modernized for a lot of things. I think there's a lot of looseness taken into how it's adapted.
Okay.
And I think part of that is just due to the nature of the format being so different. But speaking of sound, we have one of the greats working on the soundtrack for this. It's Yuki Hayashi. And if you don't know who Yuki Hayashi is, he is the composer for amazing anime such as Haikyuu, not so amazing, but amazing soundtracks, My Hero Academia and Sakamoto Days.
Soundtracks of My Hero Academia
banging,
is
completely
good. Yeah.
banging. But Yuki Hayashi, if you listen to his works, it's a lot of it's like super anime hype type thing. But I think he takes a conscious step back, and he still has those kind of hype songs, but a lot of what the work is done into this is kind of the vibes of being a team, and he knows the idea of being a team very well, and that kind of feeling. But it is a different step because with running, you're not like high tempo, like crazy, like action all the time. It is a slow burn, and
True.
His work is, I mean, he's probably in my top 3 composers for a reason. So it's an absolute treat to listen to him, and it's a very extensive soundtrack too. It's like really long.
It is, and it's like it's characteristic to the anime, but it's not necessarily like a one-trick pony kind of soundtrack. You know, like it really adapts what's being shown in that episode and within that environment. Really good.
Yeah,
like
I think it has a bit of a lo-fi tone to it, a bit more than maybe other shows, but it's definitely it definitely plays like to a large diversity. It's not like I would say like My Hero plays itself a little too straight sometimes when I'm like it should be a slower show. Even though the music's great, I think it should sometimes play a little slower than it does musically. And then our director is Kazuya Nomura. who did Moriarty the Patriot, and yes, that is an anime about Moriarty. From what I know, I haven't watched it, but there is
I remember that.
It's
one.
a really weird show. I remember people talking about it, but it is quite literally about, I think, Moriarty, but just done from a different perspective. And where you can watch Run with the Wind is Crunchyroll, and as always, there's other means to watch anime, people. Make sure you watch them.
That is not an official suggestion.
That is, I'm just
just
saying
stating
that there
facts.
are other means
Yeah.
to watch anime than Crunchyroll or whatever site we may mention. Just want to make it clear. But going into Run with the Wind, I brought it to you as a sports anime as one of my favorites, one that you haven't seen before. One of our
Yes.
first conversations with each other was about Haikyuu and about how much we love sports anime and specifically kind of the characters involved with it. Run with the Wind is a bit different. It's not about exactly the high octane action. It's still very character motivated, but I want to know how you thought the show played, despite being in the same genre. It's a very different approach to maybe the sports anime genre.
Yeah, no, it's that's like here in my notes as well. Like what I wrote down is even though it feels lacking in comparison to action in sports as a sports anime, especially compared to its peers like Haikyuu or
Yeah.
like other amazing sports anime, Kuroko no Basket.
Well, I think an interesting way
No,
of
I'm
putting it
just
is I
kidding.
think Haikyuu is like if Kuroko is just the hype moments from Haikyuu,
Yeah.
just the hype moments.
But yeah, so like
Run with the Wind is then just is mainly the characters from Haikyuu.
exactly. So it's like, it's lacking, but it's not lacking as an anime itself. It's just lacking in terms of how much action, sports action you get. But with that, it also shows us a whole new perspective of sports anime and a much more like in-depth, personal character development instead of like only the team like progressing and like beating the stronger next team and like being even better. You know, like
Yeah, it's a lot less clear winning and losing.
it's more about
there's goals, but
yeah, their goals, but then their character builds like not in a game like way, but like in like who they started as and who they ended up as throughout that journey, which is them getting ready for this competition in a sense, them adapting to the situation, them learning, kind of giving up some habits, picking up some new habits. Like it's a new but nice approach to sports anime that I've seen from it.
It's a very honest show. I
It
think a
is.
lot of what I think a lot of other shows would try to hide some of these maybe not exactly the kind of like uglier parts of people as well as like struggles that are maybe a bit less important. They're very menial, but it's a very personal show, and it's also quite a personal show to me because even though I may not look like it right now, I was a long distance runner in high school and throughout a decent bit of my life. I was an athlete for most of my life, but
Shindo here.
but I was a runner, and running is I think this is bold to say, but I think there's truly no other sport that pulls everything out of you mentally than running, because what running does to you is it takes all of your efforts mentally and puts a number to it, which really fucking sucks. And you see it in parts of the shows where it's just like how runners make their times and stuff like that. I think Run with the Wind is so focused on this journey and making it this concise product that it's a really wonderful, beautiful thing, but it doesn't explore the really agonizing depths of running. Like it kind of goes into it with a bit with Nico Senpai, a little bit with Shindo, of like runners stagnating and not making progress. Like one of the most unrealistic things about this show is Prince. Like Prince runs legitimately like a 30-minute 5K, which is like really fucking slow. Like most people on average could like as long as you're like not like completely out of shape, you could probably run a 30-minute 5K. It's like really slow. And maybe that's a bit generous, but like 30-minute 5K is really slow. To go to a 16:30, which is like very competitive time, like in the scope of like high school and early college, like to give you an idea, like in American colleges, 16:30 is like a walk-on time, which means like you're not on the team. Usually, you won't get like invited to the team with a time like that when you're getting scouted. But if you have a 16:30, you can walk on and get like coached and stuff like that. to get the times that like Kakeru was getting. Kakeru was getting like insane times. Kakeru was like fucking insane. And then to go from that, from 5Ks, which is not long distance. People think 5K is long distance. It's like 10K and up is long distance. To go from that to doing Hakone is like really unrealistic in 10 months. So it's like a lot of the show is like kept concise and not a lot of the conflict is really delved into. But the conflict that's being delved into is really like, it's really important and like personal to a lot of these characters.
That, and it's like, it's not realistic in the sense that, again, how much Prince progresses, or for most actually how much they progress. But I feel like that kind of helps to the fact that, like, it kind of shows us running is, regardless of who you are as humans, everyone runs. Like a lot of other sports, you're like, you gotta have a knack for it, you know, like. And I'm not saying you don't have to have a knack for running, but like, regardless of you do it as an athletic endeavor or not, running is part of our lives. And I feel like even though characters like Prince or King or like everyone else, their progress isn't realistic, it kind of shows us like they're regular human beings.
Yeah, that's a large part of it.
Started doing something athletic, which is running, and is something they can do, and frankly kind of have to do, because if you're a human, you gotta know how to run.
Yeah, I think there's a beautiful way of how they put the nature of running and running away from things and running towards something. Like, there's a beautiful way that they talk about, also talking about running form. I will say the attention to detail to Kakeru's running form, they definitely studied it. Like, as someone who is a runner and had their running form like studied and talked about with like professional coaches when I would go to like training camps, like, it's legitimately a perfect form. Like, you can see, like, I think another thing that's really great about the animation and small details is a lot of these characters have very different forms. Like, King's form is disgusting. It's horrible. Like, watching King run, it's like he is like janking his shoulders, and you're told not to do that because it uses so much extra energy. But like, there's like natural body types and stuff like that, and when you're not trained like in a more professional setting, it's harder to get rid of those habits. And I think the thing that's coolest to me about Run with the Wind, specifically from my experience, is that they show team sport running, which is like such a cool experience. When I think if you're older and you start running and you just kind of get into the like struggles and hard parts of it, it's hard to understand what team sport running looks like. Like, they exact, like, the feeling of like a meet. Like, I think the race that comes to my mind the most is like, because the track meets or whatever, it's the qualifier to me when they do the qualifier for the Eikiden. Not even the Eikiden itself, for team sport running, because it's all about their times being combined together. So when people watch races and they're not into running, they think that, oh, we want to just see our fastest runner get first. That's rarely what matters in these races. Like, a lot of the times it's like, because placements don't matter for these things, it's about time. It's like your combined time gets added. It's not about your combined placement, because that's just too random. And so a lot of the times you're cheering on your last man the hardest. And I think watching Prince be their last man was like, okay, as unrealistic as he is, like, it's a super inspiring story. Like, a lot of what these characters have with each other, like their relationships, they're so pure. They're such beautiful boys.
Kakeru and Prince, like, their relationship and how that evolves, like, because you could argue like they almost, like, they don't, but almost hate each other.
No, they kind of hate each other.
So it's
they're from different worlds.
Yeah.
Right? One of them is a born athlete who's kind of an elitist and has been kind of inundated into this idea of, in running, there's a certain idea of the chosen, which is true in a lot of sports. But in running, it's like your body type really matters. Like, basically, once you get past a certain level, your body type, like, I mean, you see it with Nico Senpai. He's like, he just gets told not to. And it's like, yeah, because you're going to get hurt otherwise.
I feel you, Nico.
Yeah, like, you just get told, like, nope, you shouldn't do this. You can, but, like, you really shouldn't. And, like, it's... And Prince comes from a world of, like, quite like sports manga and stuff like that, and just doing your best. And I think it's a wonderful way to reveal something about both characters, right? And I think it reveals a lot about Kakeru. I love their initial conflict episodes, because it's not pretty. It's really not. It's not, but
it's overall relationships. It's a really well established show.
Yeah.
From the ugly to the pretty, like, from where they start to where they end up. They did a great job, and I feel like they were able to pull that off because there was less action and more like in-depth dive into who those characters are.
Yeah, the show definitely plays favorites. I will say that much.
It does. It does.
Like Prince is one of the favorites. Like Kakeru is obviously the main character, and Kakeru's not exactly the most unique character. Let's just say he's very Kageyama from IQ. He's very similar to Kageyama, even looks wise.
He's almost like a mix between like Kageyama and I want to say almost like Hinata, in a sense, because like
Hinata's a bit more go getter. Like
no, like not in the sense like go get it, but like he craves action. He has big moments of self doubt, which with Kageyama,
I think Kakeru doesn't
like,
ever doubt his ability as a runner. I think he doubts the journey, but Kakeru as a runner is fully confident. Like,
true.
One thing is when the way runners look at pace, it's kind of well perceived throughout the show. It's just like when you see how other runners look at their pace, especially in the Eikiden, where it's like, oh god, I'm going too fast, where Kakeru is like, I need to go faster, and kind of understands their confidence and their stamina and what they do. Like Kakeru is a really, like, he's a really self-confident character, but a lot of that kind of clashes with the idea of what it means to run as a team and kind of like the bigger picture questions of running. Like there's a scene with Haiji where they're like in the kitchen and Kakeru calls all the runners half-assed. And like Haiji yells at him and being like, "Who the hell is running here half-assed?" And it's like makes him question for the first time.
That
and like
true, yeah.
you know, like kind of okay, just because they're slower, what does it mean to be a runner, right? Like are they running like their hearts out? Like he sits out the next race and kind of sees people how they run.
That's also a good question that's brought up in the show. Like a lot of sports anime, it's the goal is apparent, right? Like
it's the best. It's winning. It's
it's like what is doing this? It's being the best player on the field. It's being the best team on the field. Like really, almost like tangible, like out there results are the meaning behind all of the happenings. With this one, like it straight up questions it. Like yes, we're a team. Yes, we're running, but what is this about? Yeah. It's not about going to like it's Ekiden is a goal, but it's not the end destination. Like it's just it's almost like a key to finding what the answer is, which is like again a really beautiful way to address a not so common question in a sports anime. Like
well, we'll get to lights. Let's get into spoilers here as we talk more deeply about these characters, because we're gonna start talking about the Eikiden, which it's shocking they go to the Eikiden in a show where they talk about going to the Eikiden. The Hakone Eikiden is I mean, if you think about the very end, the questions that they start asking is what is running, and in a very sports anime. History will say they were just friends, definitely not gay situation where Kakeru says you are running and then Haiji says you are running, and it's I think there is
we are running.
Yeah, there's a beauty in finding passion and love in something in a new way, and I think that's what Kakeru and Haiji find. Like Haiji's a good boy. He's a great I love his personality. Like there's a world where they make Haiji just a go-getter. I want to do it. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Like, he is like that, but he's a lot more stern and roundabout about certain things. Like, Haiji's a runner who I wish was explored a bit more because, like, he's the typical runner that you see a lot of the times is that he's a strong runner until he breaks. And then he says, there's a line where he, after he injures himself where he says, I'm a weak runner. And then it's like, I think there's it's like during Nico's run where Nico's like, no, you're not a weak runner. It's like, well, maybe it's because you spent the last 4 years getting stronger. And that really is what Haiji is a runner who's gotten stronger. Because a lot of what people who aren't into running and maybe aren't into like sports talk about, like, who's the fastest, what's the fastest time. But when you're a runner who's learning to run and learning and kind of building up the sport, you don't remember the fastest runners in your life. Like, you really don't. Like, I don't remember every single fastest runner. I remember the runners around me who were strong runners, right? And those are people who are like, that's the Shindos of the world, right? Like Shindo, oh my god, I was bawling my eyes out again when I rewatched it because it's just like, God, I mean, not to keep yapping about my running days, but watching someone run while sick, like, because you have to understand when you like running is a sport that has a time limit, like any other thing, like any other sport, you have a time limit, and only so many races and only so many times in your life that you're gonna make it. So like, think about like people. This is maybe a bit more extreme, but like their Olympic trials when they're like 20, like in their prime. If you're sick on that one day, that's like 4 years of your life, right? That's it's insane to think, and that's what Shindo's going through his mind, where it's like, I just have to run, and I know it's like endangering his life, and he shouldn't be doing it, but it's like seeing all the weight on his shoulders is like what makes Shindo like a strong runner, because he's the backbone of the team. Like Haiji is the pushing force, Shindo is the backbone. Without Shindo, they break.
No, yeah, like and they've fully established that with his personality and like what he does outside of running for the team as well. Like him like basically initiating the club and like building the website and like starting giving like ads, I guess, and like gathering townsfolk and like,
and he's the first one that said he wanted to run.
Exactly. Like he's, yeah, like saying he is the backbone is pretty accurate. And I'd say he is second to none in terms of importance. Like even compared to Haiji.
Yeah, like Haiji is like it's so easy to get caught up with the fast runners or maybe the captain, but like there are people who make teams that people from the outside don't see. Like that's just the nature of all of these things, where it's like if you don't know what a team culture is like, you'll be shocked to find who sometimes is the leader of that team. I mean, there's people like Fujioka who's very clearly like, okay, I'm the strongest guy. I'm a great leader. I'm fucking perfect. Like, you know, like I would say like even though Kakeru is faster than Fujioka as like a runner, like I think people who are like fanatics of like greatness and geniuses, like I am too, but like Kakeru is like oh my god, he's like a generational talent. But watching someone like Fujioka who's like consistently amazing and able to be a driving force to his team, like I would say that's harder to find in an athlete than just the next generational talent. Yeah, like it's so easy to find the next, not so easy, but like the next generational talent will come. Like for a college, having that kind of like both a fast runner and a leader, like that's super rare, and like you need that in a team.
And if you have that, that's a difference. And that's what is shown in the anime too. They have Fujioka so out like through his 3 years, 4 years?
4 years.
4 years, like the team wins. And it's not even like a matter of question, like, will we win? It's like, no, like we've been winning and we will keep winning till Fujioka is over.
And the thing is, he's also
like, and he pulls that weight, you know.
Yeah, the thing is, he also establishes a foundation for when he leaves. Like that's a truly great athlete. Is like there are a lot of athletes will do that that are like truly great before they leave. Like a lot of maybe greedier athletes just like going to be like, I want my last year on the team to be amazing, and then like you know they'll be on like I don't know like some like club teams where they'll like get a bunch of like hired guns basically for a year, and then they'll be like, this is my last show, as opposed to like because like I think the last person in the league for Rikudo, I believe is his university, is a first year. And and it's just like it's very clear that he's like established.
It's like his upcoming prospect.
Yeah, it's like it's someone who cares about running and running as a team in a way. Like he even like talks to Kakeru about it, and like he's quite frankly he makes Kakeru a better runner than him by talking to him and pushing him to be better, of like you know teaching people the beauty of running as a team.
We need more people like Fujioka.
Yeah, Fujioka is an incredibly strong and amazing runner. I will say, to go back a bit more about Prince, I did forget how good Prince's first run is. Like I will say that like I would say Yota's first run, or like the Aiken run, sorry. Yota, Joji, and Musa's runs are pretty boring. Yeah. It's like for Musa, it's very little. It's just like, oh, he's going a little too fast. I would say Yota's is pretty interesting because Yota's like talking about his, you know, his brother loves it more than him. About running more than him. It's very Mia twins. It's very Osamu and Mia twins type thing.
That is true. Yeah.
Joji's just like, oh no, it's a girl. I don't know who she has a crush on. And then Shindo's breaks you down mentally. Like Shindo like destroys you. But Prince is actually, it's like starting off with Prince is as like, you know, the slowest runner, but as someone who they believe in is like, I think it's a very beautiful thing where it's like someone who felt like he was forced to do something still finding like, you know, he's like, I think they find a beauty in it. And I think it's a great way to close his arc. Of just being like he's the person they trust the most. Yeah,
and Prince's progression really carries a good amount of the show too.
Yeah, because it's the thing that's holding them back, even if it's not holding it back is a bit strong. But
not holding it back, but like we see like a, you know, noticeable enough progression and difference in like each character, but like when something happens in regards to Prince, like an improvement, a change, a new approach, even like on the personal end, like
Hmm.
his relationship improving with Kakeru or all that stuff, like even the guy buying a treadmill and start running on it, you're like, yes, like
Yeah.
like it pushes the show, not in like a not in like an action like high tension way, but it's like fuck yeah, like it's this is what I wanted, like this is a step. It feels like a step. Whatever happens to Prince, it feels like a step is taken with the progression of the show in general. It's almost like he's a fucking milestone,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like or like a like his progression points are almost like checkpoints within the story, which like pushes you
Yeah.
to the next arc.
Yeah, when he breaks the 30-minute 5K and everyone's cheering, like I know a lot of people don't understand that feeling of cheering for someone who's not that good at something,
Yeah.
achieving something. But it's like really, it's a really big moment when you have something like that. I don't agree with him making like cutting like 13 minutes, 13 and a half minutes off his time afterwards.
What do you
But
mean?
but it is a beautiful. Like I'll
Yeah.
say that like him, Haiji, and Shindo and Kakaru are like the big ones, and then like Nico Senpai. I like Nico Senpai's arc, but it's like barely explored after the initial part.
I
But
feel him.
That's your dude.
I feel it.
King is relatively. It's just like he cares about reality, which I think is a fair thing. Running's a bit of a dream sometimes.
Yeah.
But and then Yuki's good, but Yuki's like the least like Yuki's like they didn't know what to do with him. Like
Yuki,
it's not like he doesn't have depth. Like
Yeah.
Joji, Yota, and Musa I think lack depth. But I
Like,
think
it's-
Yuki they just didn't know what to do with them.
they didn't know it, but it's still in some points throughout the story. You do see like a really like hard indicator to what his personality is and what kind of person he is.
Yeah.
Because like at the beginning you're like, oh, he doesn't care, like he's a partier, like
He's a partier.
like you feel like he's just a joke, like a jock or something, like he
Yeah.
doesn't care. But like then, and I'm straight up going into doing Ekiden references at this point, but
Mhm.
like when they give him the downhill stage and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and
You're
like
the only one who can go down Hakone.
exactly like mentioning how structured he is
Mm-hmm.
and like how in control he is,
He's a very serious person.
in even in compared to like Kakeru and like Haiji, like
Mhm.
he is like he follows every step. He's super neat through
Mhm.
all the steps. Like he knows. Like even in smaller instances where like when they're like relatively new, like to running,
Mhm.
he like I think I don't know who he tells this, but he's like, oh, like I noticed your form is kind of different when you're doing this and that.
Yep.
And like you're like, oh, okay. So he's someone who pays attention to details and adapts real quick
Mhm.
and adjusts himself. So like, and again, like you said, they don't deep into that, but
Yeah.
they do give you enough to have an idea about his character, which I like.
Yeah, I think they give him more intention to his section, especially in the Aikiden. There's
Yeah.
like the weird stuff with his mom at one point where I'm just
Yeah.
like, that came out of nowhere. But no, I do like Yuki as a character to be like kind of the mom of it. Like, okay, no, if Haiji's the mom of the team, Yuki's the dad of the team.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's like.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
like I'm just keeping everyone like real,
Mm-hmm.
because you could argue that too. Like even though everyone's on board and even though he is on board, he's always mentioning like, hey, like everyone is working their ass off for this. We all know that, right? Like we're
Mhm.
just a newly
Yeah,
established team. We
he's
know,
he's
like,
he's not the
real,
dreamer.
like,
He's not
yeah.
the dreamer. Like even though Kakadu is kind of real and serious, like he's the kind of person that's not like, okay, we can't. It's not that we can't do it. We probably can't.
It's like Kakiro has ideals, but because he was heartbroken once,
uh-huh.
he just doesn't want to fully envelope himself in those emotions and like in those ideals. And like Yuki on the other end is just a realistic person. He's like, I will work and I will diligently do anything I can do, but like there is a reality. You all know this, right? Like, he is a realist to the very end.
And I think really what makes Run with the Wind special is all of them combined being the team.
Yeah.
And being, because they even show it at the end where it's like, oh, there's a new team, there's a different time. But at the end of the day, it's that one team that sticks out. And I think there's no other way of ending this section than saying, if you look at the very end of the run of show for that section, it's, Emre, what are the mountains of Hakone? Okay, let's look to cameras. Okay, so I'll say it. The mountains of Hakone are the steepest in the world.
Yeah, is that what they?
Yep, that's what they say.
Steepest
the
in the
steepest
world.
in the world. It's a cute little chant, but I think it's a lovely way of showing the teamwork in this show. And so let's go to something very different then. Emre, I'll have you introduce this section.
Yeah, this is also another sports anime.
Yeah.
No, okay, so this is actually okay. Quick history check. So first of all, my first watch for Jared. It's an anime called Dororo. It's niche in a sense and not in other senses. It's a 2019 winter season anime
From Mappa.
from Mappa. So it did had some boost behind it when it first came out. Though the reason I called it niche in a sense is because even though it's Mappa, it's an adaptation.
Yeah.
And it's an adaptation of a really old manga
And anime.
and anime. But that being said, the 2019 adaptation is almost, you could argue, is an entirely new thing
Sure.
than what the manga and the older anime is. That being said, the author is Osamu Tezuka.
If you don't know who that is, look him up now. He's kind of one of the godfathers of anime. We mentioned him last week because the Osamu Tezuka Award, that award that we talked about, Orb Watch, it's based on him. The guy who wrote Astro Boy,
So,
one of the first anime manga of all time. Like, pretty
fun
important
thing,
guy.
by the way. I don't know if you had the chance to look at it, but his art style shows itself. Like, even in Dororo, like, you open it and it's like, oh, like, this is just Astro Boy.
It's
like,
mainly Dororo as a character. That's like the one that's like really noticeable.
Exactly. But then its music is made by Yoshihiro Ike, who also did Kuroko no Basket, or the basket
Kuroko's
plays.
Basketball, yeah.
Kuroko's Basketball, yeah.
He did seasons 2 and 3.
Season 2 and 3. And he also did Ergo Proxy.
Yep.
Which is a relatively
It's like 20.
cult popular kind of anime
Yeah.
at this point as well.
Yeah.
And you can go and watch it on Amazon Prime
And the
or
director,
any other means you have.
any other means. We're just saying. And the director is Kazuhiro Furuhashi, the director of actually Spy X Family.
Spikes, which has
So weird.
Well, I guess I can.
It low key makes sense. I'll talk about it in a
Yeah.
bit, but it low key makes sense.
It does, yeah. So,
Would you like to apologize to me?
nah.
So we to give you an idea, Emre and I do talk about how we feel about these shows a bit before we talk about the podcast.
Yeah,
We're not
of
like going
course.
fully dry into this, but let's just say I wasn't the biggest fan of Dororo. Okay, let's just say that it was a bit hard for me to watch.
He does not appreciate it. But
I mean, yeah.
and by the way, if you all didn't notice till this point, because even though it's the second episode, the first episode is 2 hours, so it's like he's kind of the hater,
Yep.
and I'm
Big
kind of
hater.
I'm kind of the non-hater. So
I'm excited to hate because episode 1 we didn't get to hate that much. Like we talked all about anime that's like I would say like I didn't love Bacano, but I liked it.
yeah.
But like I think I legitimately don't like Dororo. I think I
Okay.
legitimately don't like
So
Dororo.
yeah, I'm kind of interested in this topic too, because
Sure,
I feel like I agree that it's not the best show, but I definitely feel like it's a good show that has value in it in more than one area. So let's dive into that.
I would argue there's value in like exactly one area. To me, Dororo suffers a lot from what we might consider older storytelling conventions, and we'll talk about this more even later. But God, is this show just torture porn? Like, not exactly torture, but a lot of it is like, I mean, Hyakimaru is a character who's born without, like, you know, limbs, senses, like anything like that. It's like the most like pitiful, sad puppy kicked in the rain type thing. And
Okay.
I would say the difference, because I would say like we talked about like torture porn similarly in Orb, but
Yeah.
not Orb's. The difference between that and Orb is like they're both unpleasant to watch, but there's more payoff in Orb and other aspects that I think makes the tone more settled, like makes the tone more appropriate, where it's like, oh, this is the reality of the things. Where I think that Dororo's like tone is primarily just like war sucks, everything sucks, there's no hope.
Yeah,
I
that's
hate
what I
life.
was gonna say. Like in Orb, torture or stuff like that, whether it's physical or emotional, it's more situational. Where in Dororo, it's like a foundation of the world they live in.
Yeah.
Which then turns into us seeing that kind of stuff every day, all day, through all the episodes.
Yeah, and I
And
think
it's 24 episodes, so
yeah, it really, like, I will say, would not mind this stuff, if not one problem. There is one problem with Dororo that I cannot accept, and that it's boring. Dororo is boring. There's really like not a lot of background stuff going on. A lot of the stories are really simplistic. Believe it or not, the manga has less. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I put in the notes. So I did want to kind of dive into that. So I do agree in some terms. Like it does feel a bit more lackluster, especially compared to other animes of that genre or of similar genre. Though the source material, bro. So with all due respect to the author.
Also, Osamu Tezuka,
Yeah.
you are a legend. We would literally not be here without you.
Exactly. But the source material, man, they're first of all, pacing is a lot more different in source material.
It's I think it's more. Is it more traditional Monster of the Week, or is it? I haven't read it myself. So.
Oh, the problem is it's much more almost like Disney kind of like Western comic approach to it. So, and then the world setting, like everything you get. That's why I feel like the anime is 2019 specifically. Adaptation is much deeper than the manga, or as you know, complex as it can get, because like, you know, all the stuff about like religion and beliefs in this anime, even though we feel like it's not much compared, like that doesn't exist in the manga at all.
Yeah.
Like, at all. The relationship of Dororo and Hyakimaru, believe it or not, it's not. In certain ways, it's actually established a bit better in manga, but like how they build up the relationship is still, in my opinion, better in anime. Then there are other stories, side stories we encounter throughout the anime, like Yajiro and Ohagi.
They are who? Ohagi, I remember.
Ohagi is the spider, like demon hybrid woman.
Probably the best story they had.
And yeah, so that story is like the way they execute it in the anime is much more detailed and has significance to the story, as in like one thing they added which it doesn't exist in the manga is us questioning Hyakimaru's goal.
Yeah.
And then the question of are demons all bad? Are humans all good?
Yeah.
Like, is Hyakimaru gonna be good? Is it necessary for all the demons to be, you know, eradicated?
Don't have to become a demon slayer.
Yeah, like do we take that approach? And like with stories like Yajira and Ohagi, you're like, oh no, like, because you look at other characters, humans,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like much more messed up
Sure.
than
sure.
Ohagi, and you look at Ohagi and you see her becoming humane, being affected by a human, and you're like, okay, so then what does this mean on Hyakimari's end? Because for him, demons are like
I have to kill the
Yeah.
demons. I have to kill the demons.
but we realize that's not the case. So it's
Yeah.
like depth. Depth is, again, compared to its other peers, it's not the deepest thing, but compared to manga, we don't have any of these. So
yeah, I think the hardest thing that when talking about older stories is knowing that they are the basis for what makes more like modern stories better, and like what
Mhm.
makes them like when you compare Mushishi, I'd say that this show is most similar to Mushishi and to Your Eternity. To Your Eternity more so. They're both like relatively like passive protagonists, or not passive, but like they're very like the protagonists are like kind of just going along the journey more so. They're just going along the journey, doing things, and the world's happening kind of around them, and they're responding to the world. The difference between like it and Mushishi is that, first of all, the stories told in Dororo are like really like, if you're even somewhat familiar with Japanese mythology, these are really popular stories.
yeah.
And really like uninteresting. Like, you know, if you kind of like, you'll know where it's going. It's very predictable, and it's hard to like, you know, to really care about them because I think they don't establish the characters very well. It's just kind of like you're supposed to be enveloped by the monster or enveloped by like, you know, kind of the one person involved, and it's a lot weaker structurally than Mushishi, where I think Mushishi knows how to make the mystery of it a bit better, and as well as like make you care about the story a bit more.
Mhm.
And then To Your Eternity, while not perfect, it's definitely not perfect. It's definitely like really similar to the show, where like both Fushi, who's like the main character from To Your Eternity,
Yeah.
and Hyakimaru are both characters that like start with nothing, like they can't even speak. So it's
Yeah.
like they're both very like from zero to hero. Hero is a stretch, zero to hero type characters, and the thing that To Your Eternity does a lot better is it spends more time with the characters around them, because like Hyakimaru's relationship with Dororo is pretty surface level, because they don't even talk to each other for like the first half of the show, maybe like they barely like they don't talk because he can't talk.
Which is, by the way, good thing that you brought it up, because it's one of the very few things that I think manga did better.
Uh-huh.
Is in manga, Hyakimaru, like, he is again like without ears, eyes, like any senses, but I'm not saying it's logical, but because of his sixth sense,
Mm-hmm.
he like understands people, but like precisely, like not
Yeah.
like getting a vague idea. Like
Yeah.
he understands what the person across the room is saying to them, and he has his, whatever you want to call it, skill or ability or whatever, way of projecting what he wants to say to the person talking or communicating with him. So when you look at the manga, because he has that ability in it, they actually start exchanging, you know, conversations much earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But in anime, it's just him grunting and
He looks off in the distance to see
Yeah.
to see something. I will say there is one thing that I did. It's the smallest plot hole, but it does matter to me at least. Is that when Hyakimaru gains the ability to talk,
yes,
why the fuck does he know how to speak Japanese? It makes no sense. He has no way of seeing writing. He has no way of learning from writing. He has no way from like hearing anything. Like it doesn't make sense, and it just kind of happens. Like because when you watch To Your Eternity, like Fushi learns how to talk over time, and he like
Yeah.
repeats like a baby repeats phrases over and over again until he
Yeah.
understands what they mean. And so it's like I think Hyakimaru's growth is really awkward. It's like he just kind of like goes, I don't know what I want. I'm just kind of walking around eating shit, doing whatever, and then Dororo's leading me around to, ooh, I get body part back. Me kill demon a lot, and then ooh, I'm in pain. I'm gonna yell for like 10 seconds. Like Hyakimaru's lines, I'm sure most of his lines and dialogue is like, "I want to kill demons." Dororo. Ah! Like those are his lines. Like it's crazy to me that those are like his the voice actor goes into the booth, he sees 3 lines, gets his paycheck, and leaves. Like that's legitimately what happens. It's crazy to me. I will say,
can't argue.
dude, the animation does not do him justice. I will say, like, I know you read the manga, but I haven't read the manga, but it's like the way that they make Hyakimaru's vision look, it looks like shit, dude. I thought this was from like 2012 with how bad it looked. Like Mappa, what the fuck, guys? Like it doesn't look like if you like, it doesn't look good, so that's why they don't stick on it too long. But because they don't stick on it too long, you can't tell what it is. So it's like a flash of like a white blob in blackness, and it's just like, okay, like I think there could have been more detail or something there to make his.
I feel like it gives
better.
the idea.
It gets the idea, but like so like there.
I feel like they avoided it because they avoided the whole thing that I mentioned about his communication abilities in the manga.
Yeah.
I feel like they didn't want to stay on that visual side too much as well because they just didn't grab that whole thing, which in that sense, why? Like just take that part. Like it's because it's not like you're still like you're changing a lot of stuff, but you're still adapting a manga, so you might as well use the good parts. Like,
but the thing is, they use that vision so much. Like they use it like at least like twice an episode. And then the worst thing is that they reference it sometimes, where it's like they talk about it when he meets Tohomaru the first time. Like Tohomaru is like
colors and stuff.
Like he's like a different look. Like he's like it's like not even colors. For Tohomaru, it's just like different swirls.
Yeah.
And that's how he recognizes him. I'm like, how the fuck was I supposed to know that he recognizes him from those swirls being different? And it's so, I don't know why it relies on it. Like I think the biggest thing about Dororo that I am disappointed by is that you can have a show that's depressing. You can have a show that's even a bit boring, but I wish it played to its strengths more. Like it's a show that really doesn't understand its strengths that well, which I think the most interesting part of the show is the devastation of war, right? Like I think, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to talk a little bit, I'm probably going to talk more about history later, but I'll talk a little bit of anime history. Like I'm not perfectly familiar with every single anime that came out post World War II or manga as well, but a lot of them were very happy. They were like Astro Boy, relatively happy. I can't remember the other one, but it's about like a house, like about a family and a housewife type thing. It's really popular. It'll be on screen right now, and I'll hate myself for not remembering it because I did a whole presentation on this to my friends at one point. Okay. But a lot of it was happy because you don't want to talk about sad things post World War II, right? Like you don't want to like address all the things. You want to talk about rebuilding Japan and talking about the greatness of the the country. That's kind of what it was. This is about, even if it's not about World War II exactly, it's about war. And it's about the devastation that you can face at any moment and kind of the loss of villages of people. It's like, it's a lot less subtle than maybe say like, I always think about Avatar: The Last Airbender when it comes to my first like more intimate experience with like war in media, where it's like seeing like Earth Nation villages be ravaged by Fire Nation soldiers in like very small ways too. Sometimes it's like just taxes. Sometimes it's like we just have control over this area, or it's oppression and stuff like that. Like seeing that was like, oh, right, that's what happens, with war. Like it makes you understand that concept. With this, it's a lot more brutal, but it's like, and I think the most interesting concept to me is like hating the samurai, right? I think it makes a nice allegory of like seeing why people hate war and what war causes to like, not exactly a nation in this regard, but it is a nation, like a domain, like what it causes the people to have to do. Like I think that's the strong point of the show.
Okay. Is that situation just a tool for Hyakimaru? And his like.
So I think it kind of depends. Like I guess
like you could argue, because I feel like I lean towards the analogy being done over Hyakimaru and not the domain itself. I feel like the message behind is conveyed through Hyakimaru and
it is
who he is. Like not in the sense that the situation his father's domain is in, but like the literal situation he himself is in.
No, yeah.
But yeah, it's still could have been done better for the domain, and in regards to what the general situation of the environment is. But again, that doesn't exist in manga. So it's like
for me, okay, so the thing with Yakimaru's situation is it's like basically quite literally the trolley problem. One life for the life of many, right? But you're making an intentional turn on it, right?
Yeah, I wasn't even approaching from that perspective though. I was thinking it more like from like a post-war analogy, as in like almost like you can almost think of Hyakumaru as like Japan after World War II, as in like World War II, they obviously had drastic losses, and Hyakumaru comes into this world with everything taken away from him, basically eradicated, and like.
So are you saying that Japan's gonna come back killing demons?
No, I'm saying like you can almost
I
see
get what
it
you're
like
saying.
him, like his character journey coming out of suffering and like trying to figure out what he wants to do and whether he's gonna be a good person, bad person. Like I almost get the feeling like, okay, it's kind of in a sense Japan after war. Like they had this massive like suffering because of the war, and then they had to like adapt to new situations and come up with new systems and figure out how are they gonna approach stuff from that point on, which is kind of similar to what Hyakumaru is figuring out. Like he is slaying demons, but ultimately, even though he's driven by revenge, he is figuring out what he's doing going on, and that like further gets established when he meets what was the gal's name?
Oh yeah, her in episode 7 or 8. It's the woman selling her body, right?
Exactly.
Her story is the most important story in the whole show.
Mio.
Yeah.
Mio.
She's the most important story in the whole show, like by a lot. Like by a lot.
And by the way, it's way earlier on the manga and way shorter on the manga.
I'm glad
too.
they extended it. It's the most important part of the show. I think the main problem with Hyakumaru is that he doesn't. A lot of the questioning they do in the show, some of it could be interesting if Hyakumaru actually sat down and considered it, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
Like Hyakumaru literally goes, anyways, and then goes forward. It's like, I think I'll get into light spoilers here. Or just spoilers in general, but the ending of Dororo kind of leads into like the last 4 episodes. He just goes, fuck it, I'm going to Daigo's domain. Fuck it, we're going to Daigo's domain. We're settling this now. I'm not getting my body parts back. And I'm like, okay, sure. It just kind of went from Monster of the Week for a couple weeks, basically, and to just going into the final part. Like, it doesn't build in a very meaningful way. Like, there's the stuff with his brother that kind of builds, but it's not. I don't care about his brother. Like, they don't make him that meaningful of a character. He's just like I need revenge for my people. Like, I mean, again, part of it is that these are early storytelling conventions that are being portrayed to us that if we hadn't seen them portrayed in other things before, we might be more inspired by them. But because it's something we've seen before, it's a bit less interesting. And that said, with someone like Hyakumaru, like I think you can definitely see like this being improved with shonen protagonists over time. Is that early shonen protagonists, say Goku, or even earlier than that, I'm sure, phytosexual is a very common thing where they're like, girl, want to fight. That's kind of what Hyakumaru is. Like, not exactly like want to fight. It's like kill demon, but it's the similar like I want to fight, and that's good enough motivation for me. Like, I mean, even if you see Goku's evolution even later on, like, I mean, Goku's not a good example. He's not even a great character, which might get me flamed, but I just want specifically to talk about a character who's like very one-track mind, little backstory, or he has backstory, but it's like the backstory is like almost like a Superman backstory where it's like, this is what happened to them. It's not really that important from now, but just know a tragic backstory in some way. And it's just like, like you see like even someone like I'll say fucking Deku, but like even fucking Deku, he's got like self-doubt, you know. He's not sure if he can be the one, or like, even like I don't know, even Chojin X we were talking about, like Chojin X, there's that, am I good enough to be someone like that, like, you know, am I living in the shadow of my friend? Like, understanding that shonen protagonists need more than just fighting, and I think Hyakumaru as a character was not designed to have that, and I think really struggles because of that. Like the whole thing with Hyakumaru is he needs to be balanced off Dororo. And Dororo doesn't balance off him that well either, because Dororo's character is kind of like, I miss my family, but I'm gonna grow up and strong and independent, and I think that part's good, but it's really less prominent than it should be, in terms of making Dororo like more independent from Hyakimaru, because at the end of the day, Dororo, she just kind of runs back to Hyakimaru over and over again.
Yeah, he does that a lot.
Oh, you said he. We're gonna run into the problem with Dororo, which is the gender of Dororo, because
but it's a like it's a
he. No, it's he, but was raised as a guy. But it's weird because they don't even address it.
No,
but
like
Dororo's a girl.
in the manga, it's like from what I remember,
there's a scene in the anime.
he is a he.
No, there's a scene in the anime where Itachi strips Dororo to see the map on their body, and and they say to Dororo, "Oh, so you were raised as a boy." It's like, I don't know why you were raised as a boy, which heavily implies that Dororo is a girl, and there's other instances of it as well. And then if you see the very last scene, Dororo is raised with like long hair and stuff like that. So Dororo's gender is like never addressed. But Dororo is a girl.
No, yeah, that is
but
true.
But is raised as a guy. So, I mean, also...
I forgot that about the show.
I'm of the opinion that a character's gender will be decided by them whenever they're an adult or, like, closer to an adult. Dororo's like a child. So, like, I don't think it really matters. It doesn't matter,
That's why I didn't care.
Like, it's at the end of the day, like, this character, if they've been treated... Like, they want to be treated more or less as a guy. It doesn't really matter at this point in their life. We can use he. But it is a weird thing that's never addressed even by the end of the show. And it's just like... There's a lot of incomplete storylines with Dororo as a show.
That is true, yeah. Now that you mentioned it, that did... Dang, I totally forgot about that.
Right? It's like a complete
because now that you mentioned,
hole.
I remember seeing the episodes, and I remember myself being confused as well. But from what I can remember, maybe it was in the manga too? Yeah, I really don't remember that part. But I remember the scene you're mentioning in the anime. So... Okay, let's go on with she. It's not really.
It
that
really doesn't matter.
Anyway.
They don't address it, so that's the problem. Is they don't address it.
But I agree. She always ends up going back to Hyakimaru, but also I did kind of expect that as like from a character because, like, what she's like 6, 8.
No, she's like 8 to 10.
Maybe but child, you know,
maybe.
Like exactly like, and then even with that, even being heavily reliant to Hyakimaru, you still see her taking the lead from time to time, and weirdly enough, and I kind of find that interaction, you know, nice in a sense where like Hyakimaru kind of becomes the toddler, and Dororo takes the lead, and like she's like, no, like we gotta do this, like this is what we're, or like even on food stuff, you know, like kind of trying to take the lead and like try to shape stuff. It's like a cute dynamic they have.
Yeah, it's a cute like cartoony dynamic, but
Exactly.
like, you know me, I like characters to open up to each other. I like Prince and Kakeru being like, we're cute little boys with each other, reading our manga at the same time. Like, I like the characters to open up and reveal something about each other, whereas I think Dororo and Hyakimaru's dynamic is kind of all they have. They don't bring more out of each other as characters.
Yeah.
It's just kind of their dynamic, right?
Which I'm in between in that, because like in manga, you know, like generally like Dororo learning about Hyakimaru's situation and how he became who he is in terms of like his physical situation and all that stuff relatively early, like, and in anime it stays more vague for a decent bit longer on Dororo's end, and like I can see reasons for both execution, and I don't necessarily know which one is better. Like, what do you think about that one?
Sorry, I was thinking about making another point. What were you saying?
My guy, I was saying like in manga they establish to Dororo why Hyakimaru is the way he is in terms of his physical condition and
Right, right,
everything. And
yeah.
in anime,
Yeah.
they kind of keep it
Yeah.
more vague to Dororo longer. So like, which one do you think?
So one thing I
is
didn't
better?
like about the show, because again, this is a really common convention used now, is old man explaining thing to young boy, where it's like old priest man comes out of the woodwork. All right, I know fucking everything, even though I shouldn't really. But let me explain it to you, young man. This is his body, and this is why he's got to get back. Yeah, I don't like kind of having to use those means to make these characters, you know.
Okay.
I think the really cliche part of it all is that it's just like, at the end of the day, are the bad guys are fighting demons, and like Daigo as a warlord could have been introduced in a more nuanced way if it was a slightly more modern, where it's like someone who's truly more kind than he is, because they kind of at the end just make him pure evil. But like he has an interesting struggle, the domain or his son, right? I think they could have made that an interesting struggle, but they kind of just make him go grr, pure evil. Near the end, where he's like, "Give me all your give me all your rice, and give me that horse that they just killed." I will say that's a very cheap tactic. Is taking a mother horse away from its baby and then killing it in front of its baby. Like that's a cheap it's because it's an older anime, it gets away with it because we didn't use those tactics as much back then. It's a bit of a cheap tactic, but you know, like they do a bunch of stuff like that. I'm just like, man, like Daigo actually has a legitimate struggle here where he like cares about his land.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of people to this land, and like, you know, if it's struggling, like. There's also like one line at the very end of the show that I was like, huh, that's a good line, and then it gets ruined like 10 minutes later. It's they're talking about the idea of like Hyakimaru transforming into a demon, or like being a, I think it's translated weirdly, like, but being like a Buddha, where it's like you either, when you take on violence, either go like kind of ragey and murder things. I'm oversimplifying like crazy, or you kind of like are a Buddha and take it on the cheek, and it's like, but both of those don't make you human. And I was like, huh. That's a great way of doing. That's a great little line. And then at the end of the show, Hyakimaru doesn't stab Daigo, and instead he puts a statue of the goddess down. And I'm just like, oh, so we're choosing religion. That's the answer. And I was just like, oh, it could have been such a cool balancing thing. And it's just like Hyakimaru's like, I'm going on my Buddha journey now. Like, I know it's not exactly that.
Yeah, it's not related to Buddhism.
No, it's
like,
not. But it felt, with how abrupt the ending was. It
Yeah.
felt a bit curt to just be like, there you go.
Yeah, it's to do with like everything being, because you know, like the situation Daigo is in. Like we at first with even the priest himself is like he doesn't want to necessarily believe it, but even he thinks Buddha left the land and is not, you know,
Sure.
helping them anymore. So they end up resorting to the demons, or I guess that's the premise behind those actions. But like, you know, the night Hyakimaru is born and everything, like we see Buddha actually did not leave the land. So that's kind of like them like anchoring good and evil balance with that action. I do see like is it the most logical way to do it or most captivating way to do it
Or
executed?
satisfying?
Yeah. No. But again, and I will like show you some stuff from the manga after this, but like unfortunately I'm just gonna keep rolling back to that. But like seeing the manga, because by the way, just so everyone knows, like I didn't read the manga first and then saw the anime. I watched the anime and I was like, okay, there are goods and bads, and then I saw the manga and read some of it and I was like, okay, in comparison to this, there's a lot of things that makes the anime good only because it's supposed to be adapted from this source.
Sure.
If the manga was identical to the anime, like it was a poor like a pure like mirror adaptation of what the manga is, and this was the result, I would have been much harsher towards it myself as well. But since the source is the source, and then the anime is one of the very few changed, but in an improving way, changed anime adaptations, I kind of have a respect for it.
I think for me, as we get near the end of the section, I would
Yeah.
say, knowing that we've done reboots of these types of shows before, I'm disappointed in Dororo for not finding a way to. It's not like it's a lot closer of a like an adaptation of it than other shows. Like
Yeah.
I think the most extreme example might be Pluto, which I haven't seen, but I know enough about. Where Pluto is just like a soft, like reinterpretation, or like I know no okay, I know Pluto is like the original manga work is like a soft like added like based off of Astro Boy. It's written by the guy who did Monster. I'm pretty positive, but it's like that kind of thing where it's like where it brings to life an existing story in a new and interesting way using modern storytelling techniques. I think is a lot better to go about. Like we even like seen this in like a bunch of other things where
Yeah.
it's like based off an older story but modernized in a way that an audience can appreciate and using newer storytelling techniques. Because quite frankly, we'll talk about this more later. We've gotten better at storytelling, even though people go like, but it's only been like 50 years. We've been telling stories forever. But it's like the larger your audience gets to storytelling and the
Yeah.
more people you have to it, the more your storytelling advances.
And you get more feedback too.
Yeah,
like-
you get basically more feedback. Your audience becomes smarter. They become used to things like killing a dog or killing like an animal is like such a cliche thing now. Like I roll my eyes to it, right? Where it's just kind of like, ugh, you're doing it to like get me to feel something. I do feel something, but it's like it's not as impactful as more niche, more personal storytelling techniques.
I
'Cause-
feel like the feeling you get from it is not the same anymore.
yeah,
is
because it's
basically-
because we've been exposed to it so much,
Exactly,
right? Like
yeah.
it's okay to do it in more foundational works and stuff like that, but when you see it now, it's harder to care about it, right? And I think my biggest thing with Dororo is because it's 2019, I really would have liked them to take a step up in
Yeah.
at the very least directing. I think the direct like it needed like even if the plot was the same, I needed it to be more creative directing wise, and I needed the scenes to be a bit more like because it's very panel-y in terms of like it kind of feels like it starts from a panel and that panel
Yeah.
just plays its logical conclusion. Like I'll talk about it a bit more in the seasonal, but when you see like a manga that feels like it or like an anime that feels like it's really clearly based off a manga and it's like there's a start panel and you go to the next panel and there's no like creativity of like, oh, there's stuff missing between these panels, let's go do something with it. And I
Yeah.
think that's something that I think Mappa very clocked in with this one. Like I'm very disappointed that it was done by Mappa. Not that I think that the story was like incredible or anything, but I think that when you see a work like this, like the fight scenes are like basically the only fight scene I liked was the final fight scene.
Yeah.
I thought the final fight scene was pretty good animation wise, but they do a lot of cheap tricks. They do a lot of stuff that's really money saving. A lot of like
Yeah.
stills, montages. It
Yeah, that's what I
becomes
was gonna
really
say.
repetitive and boring because you're not really feeling anything throughout any of these episodes besides war sadness, Hyakimaru yelling, Anaki, Anaki. Like that's a lot of it. So I think more diversity for an adaptation would have been appreciated.
No, I hear you. Well, Lee, I also agree in terms of like stills and the quality of the
Like,
animation.
the art is great. I think the art. I like the designs.
yeah.
But dude, the
Like,
animation.
that's the thing. Like
the
when
animation.
there's that much of a gap between the quality of the art and then the animation, that kind of throws you off.
Yeah.
Because the first thing most people usually notice is like how good the art is for a lot of animes, not specifically the Dororo, and then seeing good art kind of defaults you into expecting good animation.
They're different things, people. They're
Yeah.
very different things.
And then when you don't get that good animation, it throws you off. And again, because of that, as well as this being animated by Mappa, it's like a double disappointment in that sense.
And to
But
throw
like,
shade at the director, it's like I feel like he clocked it in with this one. I think
Yeah.
he just did what logical thing made sense and went with it. And I guess that's a hard story to be creative with because it's like a legendary work to some extent.
and yeah, I feel like there is some limitation, like mentally, on them because it's at the end of the day Osamu Tezuka.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree.
they kind of probably didn't want to cross certain lines as well out of respect. I'm not saying like they were legally restricted by anything,
No,
but like
yeah.
because of they're kind of also, paying their respect or showing homage to the master doing this adaptation. But that being said, kind of to wrap this Dororo section up, I guess, like it is a decently well executed and
Might be a bit far.
no, like I'm gonna wrap it up. It's a decently well executed and good depth show in comparison to its original source, and a show that has good art, nice music,
Yeah.
and somewhat of a how should I put it, like, to me, thought inducing
Yeah.
moments.
I think
or
it
has those moments.
I think it takes the bare minimum to make it palatable in a modern setting,
exactly.
but doesn't do much more. And it adds some nice moments here and there, but you have to really search for those moments in some monotony. Not that monotony wasn't already there in the first place, but that's how it feels to me. Overall, I actually don't recommend it. Just saying. Just want to make that clear. I don't recommend Dororo. Run with the Wind? Fuck yeah. Dororo? Not really.
Run with the Wind, yeah. For me, since I recommended Dororo, I recommend it if you are curious of this work specifically, like I was.
If you like Tezuka, sure.
Exactly. And then I
like Tezuka,
I also recommend it after me mentioning how improved on this show is compared to the source. If you're curious about like seeing the manga or kind of looking over it and then watching the anime, try that too. It's different. It's weird.
It's interesting to revisit the classics.
Yeah,
right?
it's not something I encountered because I'm someone who reads manga a lot and watches animes a lot, or ends up watching, like, the mangas I read ends up becoming anime adapted, so I get to do that a lot. But this was an interesting take in terms of what we saw on the screen in comparison to the manga, but not necessarily in a bad way compared to the source. Again, but it's specific. So if if you're not looking for these specific things or have these reasons,
it's a classic. That's what it is.
But give it a go. Whether you don't like it or like it, let us know, or just skip it.
But speaking
like Jared would want.
But speaking of classics, despite us talking about quote-unquote obscure anime, listen, we just said that we wanted to watch it. Today we are talking about one of the most legendary works in anime history.
This is the topic of this show, this episode, yeah.
We're talking about classics of this stuff. I mean, even Run with the Wind's kind of old. It's like 2006, right? It's like kind of older. It's Akira. We're talking about Akira, the movie specifically, not the mangas. Akira was produced by TMS Entertainment. If you don't know them, they've done probably like a shitload of things that you've watched. Lupin the Third, they've done Conan, they've done the Detective Conan. If for some reason you thought I was talking about Conan O'Brien,
No.
they've done a ton of things. It's based on a manga that actually went on a bit longer than the movie because it was done in a lot of separate volumes, but it's not based on all the volumes of the manga. It's a little different. Weirdly enough, the writer of the manga, Katero Ultimo, is also the director of this, so it's a very clear direction and visionary thing. For music, you have Shoji Yamashiro, whose only anime work is Akira, which is a banger thing to do. You just come in, you drop Akira's soundtrack, go, fuck yeah, that's me, and then leave? That's crazy.
It's also one of the very few animes where you get a full-on choir that also sings their own original composition.
They used to do that a lot more. They don't do that anymore because it's fucking expensive. But they used to do that a lot more. Like Evangelion does it. They do it in a lot of older.
Yeah, like in older, but that's why it's few, because back in the days we had fewer animes, and now it's like
I think There was probably more like centralized structure
Yeah.
in production companies for stuff like that. The sound director is Susumu Akitagawa. Sound design was done by Digital Sound Design Studio Eureka, and they've done He-Man. And for those of you who, I mean, Akira legitimately is one of the movies you might be able to see in theaters. Legitimately,
Yeah.
like a lot of like older, like especially art theaters, like showing Akira. But
Yeah.
you can also watch it on Crunchyroll. I'm sure there's a billion Blu-rays for it, and there's other means of seeing it. But the one thing that no matter what has to be talked about with Akira is because it's so important to anime and anime history is the art. Because holy fucking shit, does the
One
art of
thing,
this show
though.
look good? What up?
Red.
Red, lots of red, lots of fucking red. Yeah, this show's was probably this movie was one of the really big proprietary pushers of like really saturated colors that we don't even see as much nowadays, but like it has big influences on like shows later with like very saturated reds, obviously, but even like some blues and browns that are like a lot more saturated and like makes the world very vibrant. Like there are sure people see the neons and neon part of the show as well, but Neo Tokyo looks good still. We don't see it a lot, but it looks great, and I think that's something that that really sets Akira apart from even its contemporaries at the time. Like there's only so many other shows that I would say from the 80s has art that's this good, right? That it feels like it stands the test of time in the same way. Like you can see its influences across so much fucking anime. It's insane.
Not even just anime at that point.
No, I know, yeah.
Dune Part 2. When it came out, I forgot the director's name. Sorry for that. But
It'll be on screen.
Yeah, he explicitly tells during an interview that he is indeed inspired by Akira when he is displaying Paul Atreides' character progression. Like he's like, I was on set and I was like going through how I want to develop his character and personality. And I went back home and I was like, oh shit, like I'm doing Akira. Like I'm straight up taking ideas and inspiration from that. So it's like I wanted to mention that because it's such a huge influence that it extends beyond anime at this point.
I mean, how many fucking even live action shows do the Akira shot? Like,
Yeah.
holy fucking shit. Like, first of all, if you haven't seen Akira, you would think the Akira shot is cool and important. Nope. It's done within the first 5 minutes. It's just done just because.
Yeah.
It's a great shot. Looks cool. Don't really care why. Like, I was talking to Josh about this, but I was like, I don't really fucking like care about the shot anymore because it's just done so many goddamn times and it has no like emotional purpose or it just looks cool. But it's like, God, it's like it isn't. It's such a foundational work of sci-fi in general. Like, it's not like heavy sci-fi. Like I would say like Dune's more heavy sci-fi. I would say that like I don't know, like Hitchhiker's Guide or other things like that. Star Trek, sure, but like it's like a lot more modern sci-fi look of like post-apocalyptic sci-fi that we see more and more these days. It's also got some like hints of mecha in there. It's not really a mecha. It's not. I would say it's not even close to a mecha, but it has hints of things that like I would like if you have seen Evangelion. Like Evangelion's heavily inspired by Akira's art style and the things they do with it. But it's like pseudo-human type stuff, stuff like that. Like homunculus type things. It's like not exactly this homunculus, but like that type of vibe and like body morphing and body horror like that is present, especially later in it. Like that's a heavy inspiration for how that animation and art style is done later on. Like that like it is the founding work for it, really.
Which, that being said, some quick thing that I noticed actually while watching it and like kind of did a quick research on it, and it turned out to be true, in a sense. As much as other stuff being inspired by Akira, Akira is actually kind of, or at least the director got inspired by Tron.
I'm not shocked.
And Blade Runner. Yeah, you're not shocked. But to the point where...
I mean, look at the motorbike scenes.
To the point where they took Kaneda's bike's design from the Tron bikes. That was, by the way, designed by Sid Mead. He's like a
Yeah.
big person to design cyberpunk kind of stuff, like in Blade Runner and like Tron and stuff like that. But yeah, like they straight up took that design and worked off of that. So interesting to see how Akira got inspired by some other works itself.
Yeah, I would say that, like, I mean, basically, when you talk about a foundational work, you'll kind of talk about it, how it, like, even, like, I would say Evangelion is inspired by Akira, but it was, like, probably, okay, this is bold take. Evangelion is probably the most important work in anime, I would argue. And even though it has other inspirations, talking about what it establishes in its genre and what it establishes for anime as a whole is such a profound and widespread effect that even though it's like, you can argue that something inspiring something that makes it more impactful, I would argue that you could just go down that rabbit hole forever and it achieves nothing. And that I would say that even though Tron is an inspiration to it as well as Blade Runner, I'd say Blade Runner is like probably more inspiration, is more like inspiring and more influential, just because both Akira and Blade Runner really do this like post-apocalyptic cyberpunk really well, of like kind of a future.
Basically Neo Tokyo.
Yeah, Neo Tokyo. Like it's a future that is like, oh, it's cool, it's new, but it's not something we necessarily want.
Yeah.
I think that's what Akira does so well. And it's like, God, I wish there was more world building. Like, I know the manga does more world building, but God, I wish there was more world building in this show, or in this movie. Like, I know it's because it's a movie, but Neo Tokyo is so fucking cool. And the way that the world is built out is so fucking cool. Why? Why do we not get more?
You just want to see more environment.
Every new setting is cool.
Yeah, it is. It's... Dang. I'm like having flashbacks to certain scenes, and it's like,
imagine if they like had a whole scene for it. Like they really do dip their toes in a lot of these
like
parts.
This might, I don't know. I feel like not everyone might feel the same, but I really wish this was a show with like 24 in my preference.
Oh,
but
that's
like,
a long. That's
it
a lot.
is, but like it's also like a 6-7 volume series, so it has more than enough content for that.
It's a bit awkward because I
but at least 13 episodes.
Yeah, I think it could do 13.
It would be like nice, good at like enough environments.
I think breathing in the environments a lot more. Like just doing that. Like I think to compare it to like an anime like that's older, similar styles. Like I mean, comparing it to Bebop, it's like Bebop likes to sit in its environments a bit, right? I mean, to be fair, the thing that Bebop has the luxury of is Bebop's an anime original, so it can choose to do that a bit easier. It doesn't have anything it needs to get to. Like it's just okay, you just need to do this. And Bebop is also a show, but like God, the world of like I think because the most interesting character in the show, like I think we'll start getting a bit into the characters more, is actually like the lieutenant colonel. I think is his position where he's got to deal with the balance of like controlling Neo Tokyo as well as like appeasing people and like protecting the peace. And it's very, 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 and I mean very post World War II. Like it's literally post World War II where it's like the nukes and all that stuff. Like
well,
it's really
like the first one of the very first shots you see is an explosion. Like so.
Just want to make it clear. Like the thing is, like
they didn't go subtle with the analogy.
Okay,
there.
I know people who, when I say World War II in anime, are like incredibly heavily related. They'll be like, "No, what are you talking about?"
No,
and I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like I don't care if it's like a slice of life. It's like the fact that its origins of animation and style and all these things originate back to World War II. There is a relationship there of feelings of terror, feelings of helplessness, feelings of wanting things to be normal, feelings of hopelessness. There's so many of these things that are attached to anime as an industry that like even unintentionally like homage or references to it are like put into even the most mundane of shows. You'll be shocked. You'll be really shocked. But Akira's like, it's fucking on the nose and it's all about it. Like,
dude, the setting is post World War III.
Okay, I just want to make it clear to there are doubters. There are I know you're out there douters, but
like come on.
No, sure. But I think okay, so the history of anime related to World War II is like really important because there's a ton of anime that are like really direct about it, and there's a lot of anime like I talked about like with Astro Boy and the other anime, and like there's a lot of other anime that are similar to that where it's like post World War II anime about World War II was not being made because you don't want to make World War II anime after World War II. You want to make something that makes you feel good. But the wave of anime and manga that's about World War II that came after is then really defining what becomes, a part of a lot of other genres. Like you'd be shocked, people, the amount of genres. Like your favorite shonen is heavily influenced by World War II. Your favorite seinen, your favorite fucking I don't know. I'm not gonna say sports anime. A lot of your favorite
Naruto?
Naruto. Like a lot of them are heavily like. Why do you think there's a war arc in half of these shows? It's because a lot of it is about there is this inherent fear, and I think I'll talk about it more in a show in a movie that's a bit more appropriately about terror and a bit more appropriately about. I think there'll be a show next week or next month that I'll be able to talk about it a bit more. But there's an inherent fear in the Japanese psyche that war will ruin their nation again. And that's all like a big part of the tension in Akira is that, what if our nation goes, even if it's not an outside war, a war with itself again, right? There's that fear of what war can do and that firsthand experience of the nukes, firsthand experience of, being a nation that's been castrated and doesn't have a military anymore. Like all of that stuff is heavily in the minds of the Japanese psyche when push comes to shove.
Yeah, and there are obvious visual reference, like Doctor is what they call him as a character, so I don't know his name. The scientist guy, dude. If you don't see the resemblance to Einstein, and the dude literally dealing with explosions in a sense, come on, it's kind of on the nose.
It is on the nose.
It's like,
again, with these older things, we let them be on the nose.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. It's just real. It's literally a reference to World War II, what Japan dealt after World War II, what were their concerns, or still what they are concerned back when Akira came out. Because the manga is 82, so it's it was still a very, in a sense, fresh concern they might, or they did have in some aspects. So it's it's there in every shot, every scene. They're not holding back. They're showing you, and they're kind of also, making you question and think what's the approach there.
Yeah, I think something that's interesting to go at is looking at Tetsuo and Kaneda as characters, because I would say that if you look at them as characters in a modern sense, no, you should hate Tetsuo. You should hate Tetsuo. They're very male rival type characters, stereotypical, something we've seen a billion times, less fleshed out because it's a movie. It's they're friends but not really friends because one of them secretly hates each other. I want to be better than you. I've always been relying. It's very stereotypical. And so I think the movie heavily relies on that dynamic existing to kind of be the backbone of it, and I think it suffers because of it. But the part of it that makes it more interesting for characters is understanding Kaneda's responsibility of Tetsuo, and then there's that brotherly love type thing, as well as Tetsuo's inferiority complex that's delved into a bit, and kind of this idea of duty that Tetsuo has, where it's I know it's more it seems, and I think it is accurate to say Tetsuo is just kind of power hungry and he wants to to finally have power in his life, but there is this kind of sense of duty and control of him being strong as a person will allow him to do things he couldn't do. And that being in a post-war setting, this crave for power is a bit more natural and understandable, because it's not wrong to want to be strong after being beaten down. It's I don't like Tetsuo as a character, but I get it.
So the only thing I would say is that rather than it coming off from a place of duty, it's more so, I feel like, security and not duty.
Sure.
And because throughout the show, there are multiple instances where it could have been relied on us as duty, but they actively choose it as it being security towards himself and not duty for others.
Sure.
Even with the like his like girlfriend, I guess, or like
the girl he sexually harasses into then their
yeah, Kaori.
yeah.
So like even the relationship he has with her and the interactions we see throughout the movie, it's like if things done differently, it would have gone down the duty route for sure. But because of how he reacted to certain situations, it's more of like a self security and like self what do you call it, like elevation, I guess, in a like a more like hierarchy standpoint.
He's trying to like push someone down to lift himself up.
Exactly. So it's not because duty is positive, you know.
Yeah.
Like
So I mean, my main thing is I see duty as like a possible reading for it. I don't think it's correct, but I think when you look at Akira, I think especially when you look at these older stories and you have a bit of like, you have a bit of leeway with these characters. Like in comparison to Dororo, they're way more straightforward. Or I think with
Yeah.
Kaneda and Tetsuo, there's a bit of nuance there that you can stretch. I'm not saying it's the right way to stretch it. I'm just saying that if you do stretch it, there is an interesting way to talk about it. I don't think it's necessarily the right way to talk about it, but I think there's a way to talk about how we see these male dynamics in these types of shows and kind of how they might choose to interact with each other. Like I don't think that like if you would ask me what the show is about, it's like Tetsuo's inferiority complex, right? That's like the main way I would talk about it is like inferiority complex in men.
that isn't his trauma. That's why
Yeah.
I said security, because like he has such like you could argue whether that should be a trauma or not, but at the end there's so much trauma in his head that he feels the urge to change the situation, like to the point where destroying it is a valid
Yeah,
option.
it's just that's
Like,
his driving force.
Yeah.
Is not that I don't disagree with that at all. It's just that I think when you have characters like this that feel very played out by the second you see them, the most interesting exercise to do for me is like seeing how could I work with these characters? What is an interesting perspective to see? Because if you would ask me, do I like Kaneda and Tetsuo as characters? Not really. I think that a lot of
Yeah.
this show is not driven by the characters. It's driven by the art, the world. It's driven by the directing. Actually, I fucking love. I think it's crazy to think that a lot of people say the manga is better, but the manga, the directing in the anime does a lot of new and interesting things. Like it uses a lot of lightning cuts really well, where it's like you know
Yeah.
the flashes in like Tetsuo's head of like you know Akira as this looming thing in his mind, and kind of this ever presence of like you know what Neo Tokyo is and what the past of Neo Tokyo is and Akira. Like it's really cool, and they do a bunch of things where it's like I think the way they play action scenes is very dynamic. I think they feel like pretty good. I think the last action scene's maybe a bit weird with the stadium and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was.
It feels weird, but I
Interesting.
think the way that like the middle action and bike stuff plays, I think it's pretty good. I think it's
Bike scenes I like. Bike scenes actually, now that I
they
think
need more
about
bike
it.
scenes.
Yeah, like I wish we could do more. Like we
I wish we saw
need
more of them just as a
yeah.
gang, so we understood why Tetsuo might have this underlying inferiority
So
complex.
actually, I kind of want to dive on that topic in general, as in not specifically just the gang, but through certain points, I felt like watching the show, I felt like some characters didn't like what could be a good example. Like we they were not established very well. Like
No.
it's like and I'm not saying like to the point where it's like fully lackluster, but like I feel like if we had those like gaps filled, it would have pulled us much into the story. For example, the general talking with the
The
dude.
lieutenant colonel, or
Yeah, the colonel talking to what was his name?
yeah, yeah,
The guy Nezu,
yeah, yeah, that guy.
like
Yeah,
the rat person. Yeah, Nezu.
yeah,
So
yeah,
like, for example, we see him walking down that bridge with Nezu, and you're like, okay, so this is the insider guy who the colonel is in with good relation, and then you see the meeting, which we don't almost see Nezu at all during the meeting. Like he's there, and we see it a few times, but he doesn't engage in any type of action in the meeting, and then later on in the story, we just see him being attacked by colonels, soldiers as well, and like I'm like, why?
we missed
like,
a couple of gaps here.
Yeah, like that. For example, that's a gap, like because from the scenes we, saw up till that point, you would assume Nezu is probably the only one who is on good terms with the colonel. So you wouldn't expect the colonel to be like, yeah, kill him. Like stuff like that. Like they necessarily
Yeah.
don't take away from it, but they kind of prevent us diving even deeper to the story.
Yeah, they don't add the material for us to like, get into, right?
Yeah.
They don't add the depth. I think another thing is like I think the leader of the movement that Kaori's in, I think because he dies, right?
Yeah.
I think that shocking, we're in spoiler section if I didn't mention. We're in spoiler section now, sorry about that. Like he dies, and it's like I think I would have cared more about the movement that Kaori was in. If A, Kaori was more of a character, and B, we kind of felt the movement a bit more in relationship to Neo Tokyo and why they're doing this whole thing, and maybe what the lieutenant colonel's doing, and maybe what the secret project is that they're doing with the numbered children, basically. Like if all of that was fleshed out a bit more, like these characters would be like the thing is, in comparison to like Dororo, where it's like I think Hyakimaru's just played straight. There is potential with these characters. It's just not. We don't have enough material to give it even the benefit of the doubt. It's just not there.
And I kind of like asked myself, since I haven't read the manga for this one, are these characters more established in the manga? Like, do we know that?
I'm pretty positive they are. I will
'Cause
say
it
I have read
feels-
the manga as well.
You did?
I did not.
Oh, you did not. Okay, because it feels like, because the problem is, here's the problem. It's not that we're seeing a character in a episode and then we never see it again.
No, sure.
It's we see the character throughout multiple instances while watching the movie, and there are things happening on their end. You definitely get that feeling like that character, like that character's been up to something, and you get that feeling, but you just don't know what it is. So that's why I'm assuming in manga those holes are actually stuff that exists.
Yeah,
Even with Ryu, Kei's comrade, I guess, like till he popped up in Nezu's office, I was thinking he was within his own like organization or group or activist.
There's a whole
people,
doomsday
like-
cult in the that one scene of the doomsday cult.
Yeah.
That's actually plays a major part, or not major, but like a more part in the manga, from what I'm aware
Okay.
of. To talk more about the ending of Akira, I think just because I want to wrap this section up, but also just like I think the ending of Akira is a bit weird. I will say first of all, the art at the end of Akira is generationally like incredible. It's just like it looks incredible. This like the crazy body shit is cool. It does do a kind of like almost end of Evangelion, fucking like almost like a fucking like serial lane experiment lane, like out of body experience type thing, and then goes to like where these children learn how to have their psychic powers, and then like where was all of this before?
Exactly.
And it's like a lot of what the show has is like there is stuff here I wish that it was explored. The primary thing that's explored is like male aggression and like the tension between Tetsuo and Kaneda, and I'm like that's not the money of Akira. That's not the money. The money is this world building stuff.
I don't need Tetsuo screaming the same thing 25,000 times. Yeah. That's what I'm going at. Like I literally watching the show, like Tetsuo loses control and like
Puts on a
kinda-
cape for no reason. He's like, yeah, this I gotta put the cape on from the movie poster. Yeah. You
Exact-
see that?
But like not even that. Like at the very end when he like starts, like his body starts morphing and like stuff like that and like changing, and the explosion happens, and Kaneda is in there, and then the three
Yeah.
three children,
The Deus Ex Machina.
the three what Benjamin Buttons suddenly decide sacrificing for themselves for Kaneda, and I'm like, why though?
No, it's not really
like-
well established.
There's no explanation whatsoever to why they would choose to do that, like at all, because it's not like Akira is coming back, and by the way, we don't know their relationship with Akira either. We just know Akira
Akira is a thing.
yeah.
And then, it's a thing that's now controlling Tetsuo, kinda?
Exactly. So it's like, why are they sacrificing? What is Akira? And at that very end shot, like we get that flashback, which is like, is it really the point to put a fucking flashback? I hate when people put flashbacks at the very end of things. I feel like it's a really weird
It's cheap.
way to do stuff, but
It's like, oh fuck, this character's writing is ending. We need
Yeah.
to make sure it's finished. Here you go.
exactly. And like it helps, I guess,
It could have been done better.
but yeah, it should have been done better. I'm sure in the manga it's better. That's why I'm always like, probably in the manga.
I mean, it's just the reality of producing a movie, right? I'm
Yeah.
sure that's something that the director, fucking Katsuro.
So let's go. 13 episode adaptation of
I wouldn't be shocked
Akira.
if they did it. Like, I would not be shocked if at some point someone has the balls to do it. But first of all, I don't know if he's alive or dead. So if he's alive, then it
Me
has to go
neither,
through him.
actually, to be
I mean, if
honest.
he's alive, it has to go through him. But if not, then it has to go through his estate at some point. But like, to kind of wrap up Akira, while it is a legendary movie, and it's even something I would recommend for the sake of what it has inspired, you'd be surprised where the story misses and where a lot of holes exist in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's something that has really powerful ideas and even some good moments.
Yep.
But as a holistic product, I would not say that it's something that is like, it's not fucking like Perfect Blue. It's not something like Princess Mononoke. It's not like some other better movies, or not even like, even when you compare it to shows, it's just like it struggles from the sake of movie production being hard, as well as just like it's an older story and it relies on
Yeah.
older storytelling methods, and that's going to hold it back.
That being said, in terms of production, directing,
Oh yeah,
coloring, art, sound, and I mean like sound, not music. Like music as well, for sure, but sound too. I actually want to the Studio Eureka, like we mentioned, they did He-Man. Almost all of the He-Man runs on TV they did the sound design for. And because of that, sound nerds like myself feel a huge nostalgia from certain effects watching Akira, as well as realizing how they repurposed some classic effects we see in those 80s, 90s animations on TV shows. Like they really like upgraded their game, or like step up their game for this movie in terms of production. So if you want to see like almost like a production gasm
that's what
movie,
it is.
like just if you are like us, somehow didn't see it till now, just go at it, watch
It's
it.
a special production, even if it's
Exactly.
lacking as a product.
Exactly. So it's like, hit it. It's satisfying at the very end.
Yeah, it's
like-
important to watch. I'll say that much. It
Yeah.
is something you should watch if you're an anime fan. Would I say it is going to inspire you? Is it going to change your life? Fuck no. But I think it's something that is going to make you appreciate the medium and how far it's come, as well as where a lot of the origins are, being in war, being in also these beautiful colors and action style animations that even slice of life shows still want to do these cool shots because of shows of movies like Akira, right?
Yep.
So with that said, that is our anime for the month. But and I will say we don't have a manga manhwa this month. We'll get one next month. I think we said
Yeah.
we're gonna do omniscient readers, right? I think that's what we said we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Whereas
For next week.
We've just been. I will say,
A busy
y'all,
month.
it's hard to get 3 anime a month, and then this has been a busy season. Like we'll talk about the seasonal in a moment, but like, holy fuck, I have been getting my ass kicked by seasonal. I did not catch up on everything, but I will talk about what I am caught up on. It's like 7 shows that I could even choose to be on more, but I'm only on 7.
And by the way, there is though, like this is not a recommendation or whatever, and it's not anything that we've discussed, but as one does, I always keep an eye out for like mangas and stuff on the side. On the manga end, actually, I don't have a lot of stuff this month.
Mhm.
I did picked up a Gachakuta again, to also kind of compare it with the show, like actively. I kind of like doing that. But on the Manhwa end of things, let's see. Because there's always
Pulling
know,
out the phone.
pulling out the phone. Because you got to take a look at the list. I read too much. I read too much to the point where I can't remember their names. But the last one that I read, and again, it's your classic, like kind of power fantasy, like stuff you love.
Yeah, love.
It's called My Exclusive Tower Guide. It's power fantasy, it's game systems, it's tower climbing. As far as manhwas like these, or this, or of that genre, it's a decent enough execution of the
It gets
premise.
you enough dopamine. It hits you.
Yeah.
It's your hit.
Exactly, and it's relatively long-ish, or like has enough episodes or chapters, I guess. Because heads up, usually I don't read manhwas that has less than 50 chapters because I just blast through them. So if it's less than 50, there's a high chance that I saw it and am interested in a manhwa, but just didn't pick it up because there isn't enough chapters for me to read yet. That being said, this one right now I think is 80 something chapters, so it's a good enough amount to start and come up to date. But take a look. It's a good time passery. It's nothing crazy. Classic premise, classic setting, classic art, if you know what I mean. But it's fun.
Okay. I'm not gonna read it.
Yeah, no, I know you won't read it. I was talking to you all, so
But yeah, we'll definitely try to have something. We're probably not gonna read all of ORV because it's fucking long as shit. But we'll try to
It
maybe
is.
like 50 chapters. We'll let you know. But it's gonna be what's planned for next month. As for our seasonals, like I said, I've been watching a fuckload. Let's talk about the big one, Dan Da Dan. Has it had a dip in animation quality yet? No, actually not. It's weird. Science Saru, I think, is getting support from another studio with this, and I will say they're using a bit more money-saving techniques. But the thing with Science Saru I appreciate about them is that they do a lot of, like I was talking about with Dororo, with a very manga style, like, oh, this shot is very clearly a panel, this shot's very clearly a panel. They take a lot of the in-betweens and make something special out of them, and I really appreciate how it looks. I will say the fight scenes have been fine. I've not been blown away by them. Not that I watched this show for the fight scenes. I think I think I like this show a lot when it's just Momo and Okarun talking. That's like the best part of the show. So when I see all these fight scenes and
you're a
like kind of
sucker for romance.
yeah,
anyways.
I am. But like when you see the shonen parts of the show, I kind of get a bit bored, and I think the characters are good even if they're not always the deepest. I think that they have honest and authentic stories that I want to hear, even if I've heard them before. But a lot of the times I'm like, oh man, the shonen part's getting in the way. Even if it's directed in interesting ways or has some cool shots, I am always kind of disappointed that Dan Da Dan feels this need to do shonen-y type things.
Well, it is technically a shonen.
It is technically a shonen, but it's a bit less of one. It's more slice of life than other shonens. So
Mhm.
I would say it's still good so far. Maybe I will say just keep an eye on animation quality always. But Science Saru has been. I mean, the opening is fucking incredible. I'm the insane enough person to say that I think the opening of season 2 is better than season 1, which I know is a hot take, but because it's creepy nuts doing season 1. But
we did discuss this, and
Yeah.
by the way, I'm not watching the new season currently, but for the sake of conversing, I did watch or listen and watch the opening of season 2, or Jared showed it to me. And song wise, like as song itself,
Shout
I
outs
feel
to
like
Aina the end.
it is actually better. But in terms of what it does for the vibe, or like what the vibe of the song, whether it's more like it's a better match or not, I feel like season 1 opening matched the vibe of the show better than season 2 opening.
Sure. I think one thing I really appreciate is I like how the opening of season 2 is directed. Like, not that season 1's opening is directed poorly, but it's matched so well to the song, and it's very dynamic.
Yeah.
But it's also very like timid in certain points. I like how it feels. I think that's what the show is. Like we talk about Kaiju number 8's opening. That's some ass. That's some hot ass for season 2. Like, I hate non-directed CGI, like not matching the song at all openings. Like, they've become more prominent these days, but like I fucking hate those.
Kaiju number 8 is,
We'll probably talk a decent bit about Gachakuda because we both caught up on Gachakuda, but
Yeah.
another great opening for a show. Metalcore, I think I like that it's a show that takes the idea of it being more metalcore than just rock, because that's what the show feels like a bit more. It's definitely a bit more metal than your average shonen type show. So
yeah, for sure.
I really appreciate that. My notes, which I think is a big thing for how I feel about most shonens, is the protagonist because usually they're overly focused in shonens because that's just how they are with marketing and shit like that. Really define the show, and I don't really like Ruto that much. I really don't. Like, I think he's just way too angry and like simple-minded, and also the one side character, I was like, oh my god, he's doing something where he's fighting those two. He's fighting the two people, and it's like, oh, he didn't get diffed, and then gets diffed in the next scene, and I'm like, fuck, and then he comes back, I'm like, he didn't get diffed, and then he gets diffed again, and I'm like, no. It's just like, I hate when they do that to side characters, man. I get so upset.
They don't get love enough.
Dude, it's just this. I hate when they get diffed for no reason other than because Rudo's not even strong yet, but they're just like, we got to show how strong this guy is and just diff the fuck out of them. And then it's like Jabber's like barely affected by it.
Well, they did kind of establish how strong he's gonna be when, straight up, spoiler alert, they like showed he has more than one. His ability is to turn multiple things into weapons and not just dedicated to one single thing.
Yeah, I thought the fight scene was played fine.
Yeah.
I don't think it was special. We'll see if it gets.
No.
We'll see if it gets better.
Well, as far as animation and art, I feel like it's pretty decent.
I meant directing, actually. I think animation and art's fine. I think the directing, it plays very straight.
Yeah.
I think it plays really straight. And I think maybe some more iconic like stills would have been a bit better for this.
Yeah.
But I think it plays fine. I think I'm not blown back by it. You know.
Yeah. But
it's like it's Bones. I expect
Yeah.
I expect a lot from Bones.
But I was gonna say, like, if they stick to the manga, it should start getting pretty nice in terms of action.
Okay.
Going on. But yeah, we'll see. That being said, I feel like it's since I'm reading and watching it at the same time, and I am ahead of the show, obviously, because manga has more content, but they're doing a good job of adapting the manga. One thing, it's not like a crazy critique that I have, but some scenes, emotional end of those scenes are kind of lackluster.
Yes.
Again, spoiler. Especially the scene that I noticed this first is when he's being dropped to the pit.
Yeah.
Like, when you read that on the page, like you feel with like every inch of his body, he is like, I'm gonna kill you all. Like, you're all gonna die. I hate you all. Like, fuck it. Like, he just loses it. And you really get that from the art in the manga. I feel like even though the song is good and like the art is nice, that feeling was not conveyed strongly enough in the anime. And that's also why I feel like some scenes feel like him just being a brat,
Yeah.
almost like Bakugo in a sense. But it's not that. Like it's just he's actually so raw in the manga, like as his hatred and like anger towards the, I guess, upper society, like you understand why he acts the way he acts. But in anime, because of that momentarily lackluster situations, it sometimes builds up differently.
Yeah, I think his story feels a bit forced with flashbacks here and there. I think
Yeah.
also that I don't know. I think it's a bit because there's moments in the story that feel emotionally flat. His raw aggression in moments feels a bit too much. Like I think that there's not a depth and emotion in enough scenes that his raw anger comes out a bit too hard.
Yeah.
I think they could do better with the tone in general. I
Yeah,
think that
for sure.
it feels a bit too shonen for something that I know
Yeah.
it's shonen, but it's supposed to kind of feel. I think it's supposed to be a bit more depressing underground than shonen, and I know that they're trying to make it not so depressing, but it's a bit too happy. Maybe that's just my opinion. I'm waiting and seeing Rajikuda, but I've taken a step back mentally from it just because I think with the first fight with Rudo, I don't think he does a lot as a character in that scene. I think he's
Yeah.
just mad.
He
And
is.
I
Yeah,
think
straight up.
for me, like it's just like, oh, someone that you like, care about because he protected you once. He's got hurt, and I don't think he's dead, but I think he got hurt. I'm like, that's real weak. I think that's a real safe way of playing it. So
Yeah.
I've taken a bit of a mental step back from it, and I'm not looking forward to it as much as I used to.
Yeah, they are like without a doubt, they are like kind of taking shortcuts in certain aspects since it is a shonen at the end of the day.
I just hate that we have to say that.
Yeah, it's
Hate it.
but hey, we'll see. We'll see.
I will say for the other shows I've seen this season, Bunny Girl Senpai season 2, or Rascal Does Not Dream of Santa Claus has been great. I think it's a lot less dramatic than season 1.
Okay.
Understandably, it's a bit more mature topics or slightly less dramatic settings, less high
Is it
school,
w-
less romance.
It is college, right now.
It's college. Yep.
Mhm.
So, it's still dealing with some characters that are in high school, but I think I think the show is a bit more because of Sakuta being in a bit more stable place in his life. The show feels a bit more paced, and I like that about it. Doesn't have the same emotional highs, understandably, but I think it's still it's good writing on his characters, right? That's all that matters, right? And that's what you go to the show to watch. And production stayed great quality. They put Mai in a bunch of nice clothes, and I'm just like, wow, look at all these different designs that another show wouldn't splurge on. Another show, simple plot, honest character is Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. I talked about it a bit. There's really not a ton to talk about with the show. If you like romance, you'll like it. If you don't like romance, it's probably not going to be your thing. It's really simple plots, and I think the characters are really honest and we'll have a depth with them, but it's going to take a long time. Like, this manga is pretty long, and they're not going at it too fast. So I would say that if you're not in it for the long haul, it's maybe not your thing. But if you do like long, slow burn romance, it's great. It's like really, really good at it, and it's less pussyfooting around of like oh, does he like her? Does that kind of stuff. I like that personally. I like cliche anime tropes for romance. I know some people don't, but and it still does some of the classics like, oh no, your face was too close to me, or blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. But
The classic, what was it called? Non-direct kiss or
Indirect
what was
kiss,
it?
yeah.
Indirect kiss, yeah.
Stuff like that. So I appreciate them, even if I know if some people cringe at them. It's just what I grew up on, so it's like hard to say. I've also
Sucker for nostalgia.
it's a bit of nostalgia, I won't lie. I've been watching Secrets of the Silent Witch, which I don't know why I watched. It's a very comfy show. If you asked me to recommend it to you, it'd be like, do you have nothing better to do and just want to feel good? It's a good show for that.
Okay.
It makes you relate to a character with anxiety, and it's like, yeah, that's fun. It's like anxiety and a little bit of autism in it, and I'm like, you know what? I relate to like a character feeling out of place. It's really good. It's real nice. And then 2 shows that I'm not caught up on is Lord of the Mysteries, which I'm about 2 episodes in. If you don't like digital animation, you probably won't like it. It really doesn't stray away from the idea of having digital, and like it likes having different art styles in the same like few second scenes, which I know for some people will be jarring. Because I've watched enough Chinese animation, I think it's okay. But I can understand people who won't like it. I understand. But I think it's a basic enough plot with good enough art that I'm going to continue watching it, and I'll talk about it more because it's already done, so I'm going to get to it soon.
Okay.
And then the last show I didn't get to because I was watching Dororo, so I didn't want to watch more depressing shit, was the Summer Hikaru died. I will get back to it and talk about it next month, I promise.
Yeah.
And as for you?
Yeah, I got basically 2 shows other than Gachakuta that I'm following, I guess, in a sense, which is 1, Kaiju no 8. I'm up to date on the manga as well. Again, the classic thing I do, manga anime comparison. I watch the anime. So far, it's good. Animation quality is not bad. Nothing crazy. Art is nice. Music for hype. For hyping up the audience is nice. Again, classic shonen, seinen, middle ground vibes, I guess. But overall, it's going good. It's doing a fairly good job of adapting the manga to the screen without losing the feel for it. So that's a big like +1 in my books, because I really do think matching the feeling you get from the manga is important for an anime to be successful. The second show that I'm following is that I wasn't planning on starting like you did for Secrets of the Silent Witch, is Water Magician.
It's an isekai.
It's an isekai. Something I watch all the time.
Breaking news, it's an isekai.
Nice art.
Looks really pretty.
It's really pretty. It's clean, interestingly enough. It's pretty, but it's not complicated pretty. You know what I mean? Like, it's simple. But like within its simplicity, throughout certain scenes and like actions, I guess, like you really get that sense of beauty from it. That being said, the story is nothing crazy. It's a classic guy being summoned to another world, telling God basically like, "Oh, I want to live a chill life," and suddenly becomes overpowered. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's nice. It's fun. I like it. There is a possibility of plot depth.
I love how it's a possibility.
So what did you say?
I said I love how it's just a possibility. It's a rumor.
Exactly.
It exists in the space.
Because we're at that point where, depending on how they approach it, it's either gonna cut it like shallow, or they're gonna actually dive deeper and expand the world. And that's why it's a possibility. Like, I don't know because I haven't read the manga for this one. I don't know which route they're going to take, or which route it takes in the manga. I hope it takes the latter one and goes deeper to the setting and environment and the world. But for now, it's pleasant. It's nice. Again, it's an eye candy in that sense. But that is about it for this section.
Yeah, we're done with episode 2.
Let's go.
We're making our way through a lot of anime at this point, and we're getting on to the next one. So like I mentioned, for next show, our manga Manhua is going to be Omniscient Readers, but I'm super excited for next show because the anime we're watching is going to be a lot better this time. Not that I didn't love Run with the Wind, but I would say Akira and Dororo were good-ish. kind of. Eh. But is 86, which is like one of my favorite shows, like modern shows of all time. I'm like, I would say there's like very few shows that I'm not a bigger fan of. Like there might be more impactful shows on me as a person, but I'm such a fan of 86. I can talk about this show forever. For you, you're making me watch Noragami, which is like a bit of an not too older, but like 2010s classic. That's not talked about as much these days.
It certainly has a niche. People who like it love it. I like mythology, so I like stories that's based off of mythological characters, which is a lot in Noragami. But there's also that like romance and a little bit of drama and like a decent bit of slice of life, as well as like teenage existential crisis kind of stuff in it. So it's a good blend. I feel like it's a good blend of different concepts and a pretty well execution, I guess. We'll see. You're gonna answer that on your side, but
then for our shared watch, we're watching a very auteur show from the director of Ping Pong. I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head, but Tatami Galaxy, which I know when I watched episode 1, I've only watched episode 1 once. It feels like ADHD.
Yeah, I only saw this cover, which we'll put over here now, but it looks intriguing, and I know Ping Pong's mad crazy, so it's like I'm up for Tatami Galaxy.
And with that said, episode 2 is a wrap. Bye all. Later.